What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology, the Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the blue color. Playing as Hades, his name is Sirtok. His opponent today in the red color, making that first game look scarily easy. His name is m4rcos, and he's playing as Oranos. Completely different game here, however. Different map, different game, different strategies. Everything is going to be very, very different here. Just because it's the same gods doesn't mean you get to see exactly the same game. That's the beauty of Age of Mythology, is that every map has got its own unique flavor. Every map allows for different strategies to work and not work. And we'll have to wait and see if Sirtok's going to adapt here. I think one of the big mistakes that he actually did make last game was deciding to go through Ares instead of Athena, where that restoration that normally really helps in the middle of the game just wasn't there. And because he used his pestilence straight at the start of the game and really didn't get any value from it, he was just down an entire classical age god power. And against someone as good as m4rcos here, you have to wonder if Sirtok is going to be adapting to that and realizing that he needs to get a little bit more for bang for his buck out of his classical age god powers. A little bit unlucky on that gazelle there. Sirtok doesn't pay attention. Probably should have let that one go over here and maybe even use the skirmishes to bring it back in or something like that, as they're still seeing more herding going on in the main base. m4rcos now getting his villages going. Very standard opening build order, nothing too fancy. Sometimes we see Atlantean players going for wood straight away to get himself a little bit of extra total resources, but in this situation here, m4rcos just straight onto food, no worries, gonna get going. 4:30 advance time, place completely standard to open up. We do see some relics on the map. We got the ship of fingernails here for m4rcos. It's a big relic there. Extra 24 food a second is nothing to wag your chin at. It's a good, decent relic to pick up, and it's definitely going to help you out through the game. We've also got the Anvil of Hephaestus here. This relic, in combination with this map, in combination with this god, is absolutely cracked. This is going to help Sirtok so much in catching up if he can get to the late game here. And that's kind of a big if. We'll have to wait and see. Look, if you take a look at the map right now, if Sirtok can get access to this town center, just have a look at it. Access to this hunt, access to this gold mine, this wood lines here as well. There's hunt at the top side here. This town center is everything, and we'll see if Sirtok's going to realize this or not, and or if m4rcos is going to realize this is the other big question, and how these players are going to go about trying to secure that location. I want to see m4rcos putting a lot of resources into denying this, because if he gives this town center to Sirtok, he can basically say goodbye to his chances of a significant amount of damage ever being done here, and Sirtok is going to have a field day. So we'll see how things are going to go as the village is moving over onto the gold mine. It's about a similar advance time for both players. Sirtok going for a 3:49 and m4rcos going for a 3:30. The 3:39, excuse me, is a very standard advance time for a 1 Ajax and 18 villager advance time, whereas the 4:30, you're only going to be having 7 citizen out. I say only 7 citizen, but it is a thing as these villagers, moving forward. One thing to note here is that the closer you can get your citizen to this town center to start building, the faster the faster your units will get to attack them. And one thing you can do here is, if you've got a little bit of food left over on these locations here, you can just take your villagers off of wood and start putting them on food, and then allow these villagers to put the buildings up and all that kind of stuff. And we are actually seeing that here from m4rcos. He drops 1 counter barracks over here, 1 military barracks, as the villagers do get up to this next age here. Sirtok's got himself out of Minotaur. Is he going to be sending them forward to here, or is he going over to this safe town center? It looks to me like Sirtok is going for the safe town center. So m4rcos is going to be very happy about that, because this town center over here it doesn't secure anything that Sirtok is going to need. Now, one wall here is going to make things very, very difficult for m4rcos in the later stages of the game, but he'll also have access to potentially a dock if he wants to. There's some really, really cute things you can do with Oranos, like put a dock down here, make a transport ship over here, and then sky passage, and then you're on top of all of the gold here, and you can also sky passage up to this location as well. Does cost a fair amount of resources if you take actually a quick look at how much it costs. Sky passages do cost about 350 resources, so 700 all up to start utilizing them, and then 1050 resources to really get a significant amount of map control going. But we'll have to wait and see. As the wall's coming up over here, Sirtok playing it very, very nice and defensive. Exactly what he's going to be wanting to do. He's also got the hippopotamus in his main base. He's left the zebra alone over there as well, as m4rcos is going to be moving in to check out what's happening, but it's already too late. Sirtok has left, but m4rcos now, he is sending straight onto this wood line, but good play there from Sirtok, getting leaving this position early to keep his villagers alive. He can just send them all the way over onto this defensive wood line, and be completely fine here as the unit's starting to take down these sentry towers. Yet again, Sirtok not putting the emphasis onto defending these towers is probably something he might want to start incorporating into his gameplay. Just getting one villager to put some wall segments up around these sentry towers can be very, very helpful for the Hades player in the early stages of the game against an Oranos and against a Kronos, against a whole bunch of aggressive civilizations, actually. As m4rcos now starting to move over here, we do see an archery range getting dropped, and we see sentinels getting pushed down here, but the sentinels, he loses one because of the forest over here. We'll see how this is going to go. Nice micro there from m4rcos pulling back as the gate is going to get taken out. Villagers leaving whatever food was over there, moving back into the main base. There's still just enough villagers on hunt here for Sirtok to kind of start getting some units out, and I love this play hit from m4rcos. What I want to see from m4rcos is actually this town center first, though. This is the greedy play that I want to start seeing Oranos players going for. Take your opponent's town center away from them, and then take this town center afterwards. Can be a really, really great, really great strategy to go for, as the m4rcos units moving around the bottom here, looking for some sort of a raid, some sort of an attack onto Sirtok here, but there's really nothing for him to attack at this point, and m4rcos has taken the safe route here. He's got that back town center going up. There is this timing that I talk about all the time, which is a 3 town center Oranos against 2 town center Hades. I'll give you the delayed 3 town centers. There is this timing at about half construction of this settlement that the Hades player can actually push out and punish that town center and stop that town center from going up. Now, m4rcos has played it right. He's got the forward town center up first, which means he's going to be able to play around that kind of a timing, and Sirtok's not going to be able to find any sort of advantage here with his units. So the correct play now for Sirtok actually is to just go heroic age. Just cut all production, go heroic age. He's got enough food here. He's got the farms. He's got enough units out. He doesn't need any more units out. There's not going to be anything coming for him for quite some time. And all he needs is to get Curse, and he's going to be okay here. As you do see, the Katoska boss on this town center does get cleaned up there by m4rcos' army. Controlling that town center is going to be everything, and m4rcos is just going to be spamming units up to about 145 population. This is a very, very standard Oranos play. The question is, what is he going to be able to get from it? As we do see a cheeky Chiron coming up here to try and raid this town center, but he is too little, too late. Town center is complete. m4rcos has successfully built himself his 3 town centers here as the unit's trying to break through. He has still no protection of this forward tower. I think this forward tower is really, really important for Sirtok here, moving into the portion of the game where he wants to be on that gold mine there. And this wall here is going to be vitally important to secure that as well. As now Sirtok ready to start pushing out. Minotaur getting a lot of damage. In fact, does get taken down. Big shockwave there onto the Toxotes here as Sirtok is taking a fight, which maybe he should couldn't. Toxotes get a lot of good damage done. m4rcos has to retreat back. m4rcos sitting only at 92 population. Those Toxotes, they're so strong. 7.15 damage a second is a big deal. And you kind of just want to... You kind of want to just be using your Terma at this point to try and move in and snipe a Toxote if you can. That's really... You don't want to let the units just move across the map freely here. You want to use your Terma to snipe units as they're coming towards you. And then once you've picked off a bunch of units, then you can kind of start thinking about engaging. But Sirtok now, he's got his farm set up. He's in a really good position. He's got this wall going up really nicely. I'd love to see another wall over here as well for Sirtok moving on here. But we'll see how it's going to go as now the unit's starting to engage each other. It's 114 population only right now for m4rcos. He's got a lot of food in the bank, a lot of gold in the bank as it looks like he wants to get to the next age. And Sirtok forcing this fight. Restoration getting thrown down there as m4rcos going to be retreating back even further here. Sirtok moving further and further into the land of m4rcos as m4rcos ready to start clicking up to the next age here. He can go up and he's going to be clicking through Thea. Though finishing that citizen doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but he's going to be going for that there as now m4rcos can finish up his population back up to 115 or 145 population here as the Terma trying to take down a Chiron. And exactly what they need to do, pick off those Toxotes. Basically, unupgraded Toxotes versus medium Terma. If you take 3 medium Terma and target a Toxote, they one hit that Toxote. But normally one misses. So the best play is to grab 4 Terma, hit 1 Toxote, grab a different 4 Terma, hit a different Toxote. And if you can control like a control group of say 12 Terma, you can pick 3 Toxotes off at a time and do a whole lot of damage. And while this is all going on, Sirtok has managed to secure himself that very important middle town center here, which is very scary now for m4rcos. As we were saying early, this gets this gold mine, this gets this food, and m4rcos is going to be in for it right now as Sirtok gets map control. We'll see what m4rcos can make happen with this heroic age. Plenty of food in the bank. Needs some more gold. How is economic upgrades going? Still no shaft mine, which is going to be a vital thing for him to get. He finishes up on that zebra and he can move those citizen over onto the gold if he so chooses. Losing 1 mana here as the unit's trying to push through. m4rcos needs some manas back up here as the army of Sirtok roaming around the map here, looking for some citizen kills. The units for m4rcos out of position there as the Thea comes through. The mana is up. We got 5 citizen over here, 3 citizen over here. They should be able to just garrison in as the army of m4rcos is just out of position here. Is a little bit out of sorts in this game here as Sirtok now 135 or 135 population, missing 1 house, but his units here very strong. Unupgraded units here for Sirtok at this point should mean that m4rcos can move in and win these fights here. The Chiron getting taken down by the Terma in the back. The Symphalian Bird now have got no counter, losing 1 citizen, but that doesn't matter all too much. Sirtok is at 80 villages at this point as well, but he's going to be losing the entirety of his army. Sirtok gets caught out of position there quite substantially, and that's huge for m4rcos. He's going to be able to utilize that advantage that he's now grabbed from winning that fight to most likely hit some sort of a mythic age timing here. One thing I would love to see is not going through Hecate here. This might sound a bit crazy, but no Hecate makes a lot of sense at this point to attempt to try and hit these villages over on the back. But we'll have to wait and see how that's going to go. m4rcos floating 2,000 food at this point. Market coming up over here for m4rcos as well as the raid's going to continue to come back in. Citizen retreating away as the Terma come in to snipe down the hoplite as well. As the Symphalian Bird flying overhead, start getting some big damage coming through here as the medium Contarius moving in here to get as much damage as they possibly can. As the Symphalian Bird getting taken down very fast here as well. Arcus doing what they can in the back, but like these are the scary parts for Oranos is when the Hades player is fully economized and is starting to just get all of these units out. And when one unit dies, another one comes out, and so on and so forth. But Hecate is coming through for m4rcos, so he does still have another chance here. As the Stymphalian Birds hitting some raids on these gold villages, the Chiron needs to retreat back and deal with those. There's no attempt at like a fortress or anything on this position here. As the army is coming through to make all this stuff happen, as palace coming up here for m4rcos as well. And he's looking to try and get back into that destroyer composition we were seeing before. Potentially also Fire Siphon wouldn't go astray. As the Stymphalian Birds retreating away. And I like that he separated the Stymphalian Birds up, because it draws the Chiron away and gives max value to the Stymphalian Birds in the main army. This is something that's only really possible against the Greek civilizations. And he's making that work really, really nicely here as the army continuing to fight. We do see the heavy Arcus has come through. Mason's coming through as well. There's a Stymphalian Bird on this position as well, hitting villages all over the place here as we see a raid coming back onto this gold mine, as there's no help from m4rcos' army at this point. There's a couple of citizens are going down. m4rcos not paying attention. This is a lot of damage coming onto the economy of m4rcos here. He could have just garrisoned those citizens, but not able to, as the Stymphalian Birds moving in, looking for something to cast the Tartarian gate on. Where is the Chiron gone is the big question, as the Stymphalian Birds are just simply going to move back over onto these villages. And now the difficulty starts happening in this position now for Sirtok, is how does he hold this Tartarian gate and hold this town center at the same time? Do we see Fire Siphon coming out? Answer is yes. One Fire Siphon coming out might not be enough to take the town center down. Plenty of units in here. We've got an underworld passage. The village is going to try and take down the Tartarian gate here, as the Chiron looks like it almost kills off the Stymphalian Bird. In fact, it does kill off the Stymphalian Bird. While this is going on, the underworld pushing in onto this gold mine. m4rcos is over on this gold mine as well. He is over on this gold mine and on this one, so he doesn't care that much. He's still sitting 23 citizens here as well, so not a big deal at all here, as the villagers have to garrison into the town center, and some heroes should probably pop out here to deal with those Tartarian spawns. Ajax is going to be the man for the job, as he's getting queued out of the town center at this point here. As the unit's moving back over here, we do see that the Lampede has managed to hit the Manticore at this point, as now the Manticore is going to immediately start getting damage done onto Sirtok's army over here. Starting to see some towers coming up on this position, as m4rcos here, he probably doesn't actually need to defend this so valiantly here. He needs to be putting pressure on this town center, but m4rcos is not realizing that at this point, and Sirtok is going to easily be able to defend a lone Fire Siphon and a handful of units on this position here, as the Toxoid is just happily going to sit on this underworld passage, making it really, really tough for everything at this point here as well. The Stymphalian Birds, they can get a little bit of damage done onto the underworld passage, just like the Tartarian gate. Underworld passage is also a rare divine building, as it were, that is that has a little bit less pierce armor than a regular building, so you can utilize your Stymphalian Birds to get a whole bunch of damage done onto an underworld passage. But as this game is going on, the score is starting to more and more favor m4rcos, as he's going to attempt to continue pushing through here. I'd still love to see a dock and a transport ship coming through to start raiding onto these gold mines. Yes, m4rcos has got Stymphalian Birds, but I do think that just a slight raid that goes over there would be a really, really big deal, as now units completely all getting taken down. The Arcus going to be able to finish off this underworld passage slowly but surely here, especially with the help of the Contaris, as the Stymphalian Birds now leaving this position. One thing m4rcos could also do here is start thinking about dropping Palace onto this forward location here as well, as the Dryads coming through to clean up the majority of these units. There's the Palace coming up that we were talking about. This is going to be a really, really difficult thing for Sirtok to hold at this point. You can see Sirtok's got no resources in the bank here. He's spending everything he possibly can to stay alive here in this game. He's got plenty of gold in the bank, but he needs food, he needs wood, he needs a full population army here to fight. And in this position, Sirtok taps out. Somehow, some way, m4rcos manages to win this game with a map as good as Sirtok could possibly hope for. Town center on a gold mine, back gold mines, back town center first. He managed to get the middle town center as well. Sirtok, probably arguably in this situation, not playing to his win condition as best as he possibly could, threw a lot of units away, losing an entire army basically for free against Atlantean is a recipe for disaster, ladies and gentlemen. Because it just allows that extra economy that Atlantean already has. If you check the post game here, you'll see that the economy of m4rcos is so much further in front of the economy of the Hades player. You just cannot afford to throw army away against Oranos. Now, that being said, m4rcos played this beautifully. I loved the splitting up of Stymphalian birds, taking advantage of the fact that Greek only has one ranged hero, and one ranged hero can only be in one location at a time. And not only that, there's this impassable terrain that the birds can sit over here and move back in once the hero leaves, and really, really make things a nightmare for Sirtok to deal with. m4rcos up 2-0 in this best of 5 series. Now, one more win away from claiming this series. Sirtok's going to have to go back to the drawing board, work it out here. If you guys are enjoying this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.